Hello, welcome back to the Football Terrace. Please hit the like button, share button, retweet button as well. Liverpool Football Club are close to announcing and completing the deal for the Olympiacos left back. I think he said it is pronounced Tsimikas. I think the T is silent in that. Tsimikas, very talented boy. Seen him play 3 or 4 times, predominantly this season. Done very, very well in the Europa League in an Olympiacos shirt. Technically gifted, good going forward. I think there's an element of disappointment. From Liverpool fans that I've spoken to this afternoon that a deal couldn't be done for Jamal Lewis. Jamal Lewis, in my view, is a superior player. In my opinion, he's better going forward. He's better defensively, high ceiling. He's younger. There's more potential there. Jurgen Klopp certainly agrees with me by bidding for Jamal Lewis first. But that doesn't mean that Tsimikas is not a good football player, and I think that's the area that's important to me. Is just because you don't get your main target, if you've got a couple of targets that fit the bill. And this is the thing: Liverpool are not looking for a new mainstay, permanent left back. They're looking for backup and cover. So just because they didn't get somebody who is as good or has at the very least has the ceiling that Jamal Lewis has, it isn't the end of the world. Liverpool fans should be happy with this good bit of business, around 14 to 15 million pound. Medical is going to be the early part of next week, and I'd love to know right now what Liverpool fans think and feel of that. Let's see what a few people are saying here. Tsimikas has a lot of potential, definitely better than Lewis going forward. Isn't Tsimikas about 27? I swear he's quite old. I'd have to go back and double check that. So when people say he's got a lot of potential, I don't really know what people mean by that. He is at his ceiling, as far as I'm concerned. Is he 24? Okay, 24. So, I mean, he isn't going to get much better after 24. He's about to hit his peak year, 25, 26. So, yes, he actually could maybe get a little bit better. Sorry, he's a little bit younger than I thought he was. He's good. He's a good player. Dare I even say very good. I'm just pointing out that I think Jamal Lewis would have been a better signing. But Liverpool, of course, were working on a very small budget this window. They weren't prepared to go up to the £20 million that Norwich were asking for. And I think Norwich are absolutely right to do that. And the one thing I'd say as well, it's very likely that Klopp is going to improve Tsimikas as well. Depends how much game time he gets as well, though. I don't see him getting more than, outside of FA Cup and League Cup, I can't see him starting more than 10 games this season. In the Champions League and Premier League, I can't see him unless there's an injury, and maybe that's the whole point of this. A comment here from Terrace says, I wasn't really fussed about Jamal Lewis, neither am I about this fella, to be honest. It's backup. I will get excited if he proves himself at Liverpool. Rising Baller here says, Tsimikas has Champions League experience. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, again, another reason why I would look at Jamal Lewis as a superior signing is that Premier League proven element. And I know some people don't like to focus on that. They don't like the idea of, it doesn't really mean anything. I always think a player that has grown up through the British systems or has played here and proven himself here before is less of a risk. It can always go wrong. Alexis Sanchez, Fernando Torres as examples, where moving from one English club to another doesn't work out for you. But it's a good signing. Yeah, just because, it wasn't the number one choice. It wasn't who Jurgen Klopp initially first wanted. Doesn't mean it's a bad deal. Where am I flying to? Back to London. Andre here says he looks good against Traore the other day. Yes, again, on Tsimikas, let me just say this. Very good defensively, good positional sense. In the games I remember watching him playing, he doesn't get caught out. Now, doesn't mean that's going to translate into the Premier League, but comfortable, solid in that defensive area, and he's a technically gifted football player. Liverpool are signing a good player here for £15 million. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it at all. A comment here says Liverpool don't bargain. That's what I love about Liverpool. Liverpool do bargain. You do bargain on price. I mean, you put 2 bids. You put in a 10 million and a 15 million pound bid for Jamal Lewis, which means you bargained. You just weren't willing to go above the valuation, which I think is absolutely fair, and that's the right thing to do. Jimmy here says, rubbish, unheard of player signed by cheapskate club. Listen, say, if just because you haven't heard of this player doesn't mean he isn't good. I have heard of him. I've watched him play. He's talented. Will that translate into the Premier League? Who knows? You never ever know. A comment here from Jackson says, think of Norwich. Sorry, I think if Norwich had been willing to negotiate their price, we would have gone for him. But the price difference, I'm happy with Tsimikas. And that's the whole point. If Norwich would have accepted £15 million, you wouldn't be signing him, you'd be signing Jamal Lewis. And I know that Liverpool fans will throw out examples of where maybe you haven't landed your initial first targets and that you've gone for other players such as Salah and Mane in the past, and they've turned out to be brilliant. But again, this guy might turn out to be good. Jurgen Klopp might be able to turn him into a brilliant player, better than everybody thinks he is right now. I just think with Jamal Lewis, he could have been even better. And I don't necessarily buy into that notion because, like, if you guys have watched me on many occasions before, and anyone who's hating on this video, if you don't get to 5 minutes and 55 seconds, then you won't hear this. But I praise most of Liverpool signings, and I'm not being disrespectful to this one. I just think, I'm just going by what Jurgen Klopp did. Jurgen Klopp's number one choice didn't come off, so he went for the second choice. If this guy's better, he would have been the number one choice. But it doesn't mean he isn't good. Damien here says, smart signings compared to Splash Cash FC Man United. You do realise that I think Liverpool were the second highest spenders when you include inflation in Premier League history on transfers. Just so you know. Terry, we paid $8 million for Robertson, believing Klopp. This is true. This is what I'm not having a go at it. I'm not saying, like I've said, listen, this is I think the problem a lot of Liverpool fans have. They want everything to be praised to the nth degree, like everything's amazing. I'm not saying he isn't a good signing. I've clearly stated that Jurgen Klopp could turn him into a serious player. I just think Jamal Lewis is better. Me thinking someone is better isn't meant to come across as negative. It isn't an attack. Stop taking it that way. Stop taking it that way. You did sign Robertson and turn him into a brilliant player, but Robertson was the choice. He wasn't trying to sign anybody else. My point is that Jurgen Klopp's, the players he bids for first are always his number one choice. He thinks they're better. If Man United try to sign Jadon Sancho and it doesn't work, and then we end up signing Leon Bailey, right? Who do you think Man United thinks better, Leon Bailey or Sancho? Sancho, because they went for him. It's something you can't argue logically. From a logic point of view, doesn't matter. That doesn't mean they're going to turn out to be brilliant, because proof's always in the pudding. But it's logic, it's sense. There we go. Let's see a few more of these. I'm going to read a few more of these comments here. It's been reported that Tsimikas is Klopp's first choice. Jamal was Edwards' recommendation. Yeah, listen, trust me, right? The Liverpool media are amazing. They've got this. Liverpool media will make it sound like that's true, but they bid first for Jamal Lewis. Let's just have it right. Okay, we'll change it. Liverpool Football Club agree with me then. We'll change it. Listen, Spin FC back again. Listen, I don't do spin even for my own club. There we go. Have you heard about Willian leaving? Yeah, we knew that Willian was going to leave Chelsea anyway. I think that became even more apparent when he was left out of the FA Cup final. As soon as he was left out of the FA Cup final, that was it. Finished, done, over. Simple as that. Chelsea gets Havertz, United gets Sancho, Arsenal get Willian, lol. Well, listen, let's see how all those players do first. As much as I'll banter it because on paper it's brilliant that the deal's working in that way. However, Willian might go to Arsenal and have a really good season. Those two big money signings for Man United and Chelsea respectively might not work. One reason, although I'm confident in Sancho because he grew up in the system, he isn't on paper, he isn't Premier League proven because he's never played here. In the Premier League. The same with Kai Havertz. That kind of comment could leave us all with egg on our faces one day. Maybe Klopp wanted Lewis because he was a homegrown player. Potentially that. A few people saying we can now focus on Thiago. Well, if you're going to believe the Liverpool press when it comes to them telling you now that Tsimikas was the number one choice and it wasn't Jamal Lewis, the guy they bid first for, then you also have to believe the Liverpool press that Liverpool are not going to go in for Thiago unless Gini Wijnaldum refuses to sign a new deal. That's the same. Again, this is when it becomes about keeping the same energy and trusting the same sources, because that is what they've said in that space. Liverpool just needs Sarr and Thiago, Terry. Listen, Sarr would be a quality signing. Again, there's a lot of rawness in him because he's young, but there's a very high ceiling with that lad, a massive high ceiling. And we know that he can perform and play in the Premier League. Difference between Chelsea and Arsenal and United is Chelsea and Arsenal look for the future and Arsenal are looking for the finished product. No, Arsenal just don't have the money to go big. They just don't. Comment here says, I personally think we will get a Sancho announcement tomorrow, is what Musa says. Potentially. By the way, smash that like button for me, please, ladies and gentlemen. Really, really important to me in the platform that we get that done. Maybe Man United will announce that tomorrow. I don't know. It's, for me, I said this 4 or 5 days ago, it's legalities, it's technicalities, it's clauses that are now being reviewed and looked over, and media games being played. I'm so relaxed about it. I'm so relaxed. It's not even a thing for me. The Liverpool press are all in the dark. They are talking out their backsides. Maybe so, but then if they're talking out their backsides, then you can't then trust them to say that Tsimikas was the number one choice over Jamal Lewis. Do you understand my point here? You either take their word as read, or you believe it's spin. Which of the two is it? Trash Love says, I love that everyone thinks Jamal Lewis was the first choice. Lol. Since the Virgil van Dijk saga, this is how we do business, lad. No one knows anything at all. Speculation and opinions. Well, that's not necessarily true, is it? The Reddies of this world. It's funny how, again, this is where the logic falls down on this. When, like, Melissa Reddy and the Liverpool press said that Minamino turned down Man United, we all believed it. Oh, they rejected Man United for us. They rejected Man United. That's the same press that you're saying are clueless and don't know what they're talking about. So how do they know that? See, this is the thing with me. I believe that there are certain members of the press for each club, the Melissa Reddys, the James Pearces of this world, the David Lynches, they get information from Liverpool Football Club and they get asked to release it. I think they even release things that aren't necessarily true as spin to keep their relationships going well, to keep their things on tenter hooks. Just put it this way. In my opinion, Tsimikas is a good player. Could be a very good player under Klopp. Second choice, good value for money. Not as good a buy as Jamal Lewis would have been. Not as good a quality as Jamal Lewis, but still a good signing. If you're that kind of self-indulgent that you're going to be angry unless everybody says it's the most amazing piece of business in the world, cool. That's on you. Let's do a few more of these comments here. I think Liverpool were fine with either player and went for the cheapest deal, and that's absolutely fine. Just remember where you hear it on. Hear what on? Sancho and Havertz will come because both Leverkusen and Dortmund can't afford to stay until there's only 1 year left on their contract. Yeah, listen, those deals are happening. Those deals are happening. There's no worries with it at all. Daniel here says, do you reckon Mbappe could sign for Liverpool in 2021 or 2020? I feel like Liverpool are saving. Mate, that could be true. Look, remember, we had the financial expert Kieran Maguire on here months ago talking about how a deal for Mbappe could be done. It is affordable for Liverpool. Maybe not in a post-COVID world, but once stadia are open again, once we know there isn't a second wave, once we know that the finances are back in order, Liverpool could afford him. Especially if, let's say next summer, you cash in on Salah or Mane and you sell them for 150 to 200 million. That is their market value, in my opinion, still. Two of the very best. You look at Real Madrid, look like they need new players. Barca are going to need some new people. The only slight issue is age, maybe. But you'll get big money for them. And that's what Liverpool will look to try and do. Cash in on one of them when they're still at the peak of their powers. But only if they can go after an Mbappe. It's a little bit like this summer. There are big reports. We've had the journalist on talking about it, of Liverpool looking at Koulibaly. But they're only going to go for Koulibaly if they get enough money in the sales for Lovren and Matip. If they don't, they won't go for it. Liverpool are very frugal with their money, and there's nothing wrong with that. Greek media said it first. So can you show me an article from the Greek media that Liverpool had submitted an official bid before that of Liverpool submitting a bid for Lewis? If you can show me the dates where a credible source says today Liverpool submitted a bid, and it's before any articles from the credible media here said that Liverpool submitted a bid for Jamal Lewis, then I'll believe he was number one choice, and then I will come out and I'll say sorry. But I don't think people can show me that. Someone sent me a link earlier, and it was from an article published 3 hours ago. So listen, but this is the thing. Why are people so desperate to prove it? It's funny. Literally, you're signing a really good player. Be happy. It's weird. Why am I at the airport? I'm getting an aeroplane. No, I just dropped my son back home. You obviously don't follow me on Instagram. You need to go and sort that out. There we go. Listen, everyone who's tuned in, massive thank you to all of you. Listen, smash that like button for me. It's really, really important. It really, really is. Until next time, take care of yourselves. God bless, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye-bye.